Well, hello Internet, and welcome to part 1 of my WordPress plugin tutorial, where you're going to learn everything you want to know about WordPress plugins, how to create them, and also how to create widgets, shortcodes, and a whole bunch more. What we're going to do here, the widget I'm going to make for you today is going to be this Follow Me widget. I know it looks really simple, but to keep this tutorial understandable, I had to keep it simple. Basically what this guy does is whenever you click on any of these links, it's automatically going to, in this situation, open up RSS feeds, or take a person to a Twitter account, or what have you. So basically, I'm going to go in here and show you step by step exactly how this guy was made. First, what you're going to want to do is go inside of WordPress into the WP content folder, and then inside of plugins. And then what I did was I created a folder called NTT Social Networks with no spaces, nothing inside of this guy. So I created that folder. And then inside of here, I have the Facebook, Twitter, and RSS feed logos. That is it. And then I created this guy right here, and this is the actual file that is going to load the widget inside of WordPress. And you can see there it's ntt link to socialnetworks.php. You definitely want this file as well as the folder name to be as distinct as possible so that your plugin can be distinguished from other people's plugins. So let's just jump right in here and get this guy going. First thing you're going to want to do is type in PHP. And then you're going to create a comment section, and I'm going to type in plugin name. I'm going to call it NTT. That stands for New Think Tank, if you're wondering. And all of the code is available in the underbar. You can take it and do whatever you'd like with it. Just don't sue me if something goes wrong, which we're going to get into licensing here also in a second. And then after that, you're going to want to actually type in the location that's going to provide more information on exactly what your plugin or your widget does. And this plugin does work, but it's mainly just geared towards teaching you how to create plugins. I'm just going to say displays. This is where we create our description, which is important. Links to RSS, Facebook, and Twitter. Teaches you how to make plugins. That's the real goal here with this tutorial. And then you're going to want to actually come in here and type in a version. And I'm going to come in here and say version 2.0. And then author and whatever your name is. And then an author URI. This is going to be your website, if you have one. And then that is it. So you close that section off, and technically you just made yourself a plugin. And if you open up WordPress and jump over here and reload this guy, you're actually going to see NTT Social Networks version 2. This is version 1. This is the test one that I created. And there it is. It just showed right up for you. So you've already created one. And also what is really neat here is if you go into the widgets section under appearance, whenever you're done, this is the ultimate goal. This is going to allow you to type in your specific ID in Facebook and Twitter and save, and it's just everything else is just going to work beautifully. So that's great. So now what do we have to worry about? Well, you have to worry about getting sued, of course. So what we got to do here is you have to define your license. And you can do whatever you want with this, obviously. You're making it. But I use a general GNU license that says you can do anything you want with this plugin, this code, as long as you don't sue me if something goes wrong. And I always have this just saved here on the side, and you can get your own copy of this license if you would like to have it. Again, there's a link in the underbar. So I just paste that in there all the time. And then we get into the meat of what is a plugin. Well, whenever you create a plugin inside of WordPress, you have to extend what's called the WP widget. And how you do that is you define a new class, and you give it a name that is the same as your plugin. And these names should be different. Again, that's why they're kind of weird. So we're going to extend the already existing WP widget class here. And then inside of this class, there's certain functions that you must define. And I'm going to show you those. First one you're going to define is actually the constructor, and what this is going to do for you is initialize your plugin, and it's going to have the same name for whatever you have here for the class, so just type that in. And in a second I'm going to jump more in here and explain each of these functions piece by piece. I just wanted to go through and explain them bit by bit before we started. Then what you're going to do is define your widget function, and it's going to have an argument and an instance, which is actually going to be an instance of this widget, and I'll come back again and explain what that does. Basically what the widget function does is it displays the information that you want displayed on your website in the sidebar. So this guy, its job is just to kick out the information and display it the way you tell it you want it displayed. Then you have another function, and it's called update, and its main purpose is to save everything for you. So like the Twitter ID and the Facebook ID and all that stuff, it's going to save that all for you. And whenever you open this guy up, you type in new instance, and also old instance. So those are the arguments that are passed to that guy. And then you have to define the function that displays in the widget admin section, the thing that I just showed you where we were able to type in your IDs for Facebook and Twitter. That guy is built by this function right here. And again, you pass it an instance of the widget itself to get it to work. And then that is the end of the class. Those are all the functions you have to define in the class, but we're not done yet. We also have to define another function. And I always just type in the name of this widget or plugin and end it with a init. And then inside of this guy, you're going to type in register widget, just like I did. And then you're going to paste inside of here the name of your widget, just like that. And then that's done. And then what you got to do is attach your widget to what is called a hook. And you do that with add action and then widgets initialized. And then what this guy's saying is when all the widgets are initialized, I want a specific function to be executed. And that function is this function right here, which is going to register your widget so that it's ready to be used. You know, surround that with quotes, and then of course end it with init because that's the name of the function, and then close that off. And I'll explain more about hooks. Basically, there are two different types of hooks. There are action hooks and there are filter hooks. Action hooks, as you can see here, this is an action hook, execute a specific function whenever a specific event occurs. This is the event whenever widgets are initialized. This function is going to be executed. And some of the other common things to put inside of here are these guys right here. Admin head, and this occurs in the head section of your WordPress site. And basically what occurs is whenever the head section is about ready to close, it says, oh, by the way, before I close, would you like me to run some different functions? Then you have admin init. And again, this occurs in your dashboard whenever the dashboard is loaded. That's why it says admin right here. Then you can also trigger different functions whenever comments are posted, whenever you create new categories, whenever WordPress is finished loading, whenever a post is published, whenever the theme is switched, whenever a new user registers on your site. So for example, you might want to be emailed whenever a user registers on your site, something like that. WP footer and WP head. Again, these are all set up inside of WordPress and they are ready to be used. And then you have filter hooks. What filter hooks do is they change content in WordPress before it is either displayed on your screen or before that content is saved in your database. And you create a filter hook by typing in add filter instead of typing in add action. However, you would type in your filter hook right here, which is going to be more than likely one of these guys. These are the most common filter hooks that exist in WordPress. And then follow that up with the function you want to call. And then you could type in priority if you'd like to. I normally don't, but it's totally up to you. And again, if you'd like to change or filter or in any way comments before they're displayed on the screen, this is the guy that you would want to look for. So you would come in here and copy this. And inside of quotes, type in that and followed by the function that would edit the comment in one way or another. Again, whenever categories are retrieved, here's the content, here's RSS content, permalink, you can add to and change these in any way. But in this tutorial, I'm not really going to go into filters. I will cover that in a later tutorial. So let's jump back up here into the code section, and I'm going to continue to write all of the code needed to make this plugin work. So first I'm going to jump into the constructor, which is again going to initialize everything. And every single time you're going to type in widget options, and then you're going to create an array, tab in here, and you define class name. And this is going to be the class name that is added to your widget that's going to surround everything. And I'm just going to come in here and put this guy inside of here, which is my widget. And then you're going to put in description. And what description does is it describes what the widget does on the widget admin page. So the part where you're able to drag the widget around and have it go wherever you want it to go. And I'm just going to say displays links to Facebook, Twitter, and RSS. And then there's another thing you can do inside of this guy, and that is to provide the option so that this code or this text can automatically be translated into other languages. And to make that happen, all you do is put 2 underscores and surround it just like that. Now WordPress will automatically translate this into other languages if needed. So that's a nice little thing to have. Then what we need to do is call the parent constructor. And how you do that is just parent : WP widget. And then you're going to come in here and type in the name of your widget, NTT social network links, description, and then you're going to type in widget options. And that's it. So, and the widget options obviously came from this array where you initialized everything up here. And there you are. The constructor is done. Now you can jump into the part that's actually going to display everything on your screen. And again, like I said before, that's the function called widget, and you pass different arguments that widget needs to display, and as well instance represents the actual widget itself. So the first thing we're going to do, and you're going to do this almost every single time, is extract all the different variables that are stored inside of args. And then we're going to put in extrskip. And what this does is it's going to take all the different arguments that are passed to widget, and it's going to separate them and put them into their own local variables. And this guy right here helps avoid conflictions. All right, then what we're going to do is go to title, and the title is going to be what is displayed. So before it said follow me, that's what title is going to end up being. So we're going to go instance inside of this array, and we're going to assign a value to the title so it will display. And how we do that is we're going to ask it, does instance currently have a title defined? And what I mean, again, just so you understand here, right here is what I'm talking about. Title, and then the Facebook ID and the Twitter ID. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, did they type in a title? If they did, use it. If they didn't, I'm going to give it a default title. So that's what it's saying. Does it have a value? If it does, then keep that value. And if it does not, give it a default of follow me. So that's all that's doing right there. So now we're going to do exactly the same thing for the Facebook ID and the Twitter ID. So I'm going to say, I want the value for Facebook if it has not been set to have a default. And then the default that I'm going to use, I'm actually going to type my own in here. And then we got to do the same thing for Twitter. Okay. Then I'm actually going to close off the PHP code area. That's what I'm doing there. Scroll this guy up because I'm going to be jumping in and out of HTML and PHP. So that's the reason why I closed that off. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to echo to screen before widget, and you're going to do this every single time. What these are tags that are created specifically for WordPress, and it's to help keep all the themes compatible. So this is always going to be there. Then you're going to come in here and type in before underscore title. Again, this is a WordPress specific thing. You always want to do it. And then you're going to type in your title. Again, you're always going to do this after title, and you're always going to do this. So those two lines of code are always going to be there. Actually, most of what I type here is always going to be here. You're just going to change a couple things here and there. Then inside of here, I'm going to show you exactly how to access images that you have in your images folder. That's why I separated this out. So I'm going to say the value for NTT feed icon is going to be equal to, and if you call this function plugins URL, it's going to kick back the location of the images folder, and more specifically the logo that you're trying to grab. So you're just going to type in images /RSS underscore logo.ping, because that's the name of my image that I want to get a hold of. And then underscore underscore FILE. This is a reference to this guy that I'm making right here, NTT link to social network. This is an actual link to this file so that it gets the images folder that resides in the same place as this file does. So again, if you're trying to access images, you're always going to do it this way. So that's great. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below. I'll be more than happy to help you answer any questions that you have. I wouldn't be doing this at all if I wasn't really trying to help people. Okay, so there I'm typing in my Facebook one, and I'm leaving everything else the same. And here I'm going to type in Twitter. So it's jumping out there and getting those different images for me. And then I'm going to type in Twitter here too, so that I can get my logos and have them all saved in one place. And then I'm going to close off that PHP section. And then I get into the meat of what we're doing here. I'm actually going to print out the icons and attach the links to the locations here. And how you do that, you should come in here and go reference. I want to create a link that is equal to, and then I'm going to call, there's inline PHP, that's why I closed the PHP off, and I'm going to go blog info, and I'm going to use this function to ask it for the URL for my RSS feed. So right like that, that's what I was doing there. So close that off. And then I gotta go get my image, which is going to be my RSS logo, and I'm going to echo to screen this guy right here. So this is the location for that logo. So just paste it, and it goes right there. And I'm going to close that off, and close off that part of the PHP code, and close that guy off. And then I'm going to type in height is equal to 50 pixels, width is equal to 50 pixels. Close that off and close off the link itself. And then for the most part, I can just copy this guy. So let's come in here, copy that. And I got to do the same thing for Twitter and Facebook. Now the one thing that's going to change, of course, is not this, because your blog does not have a special variable for the location of Twitter. So just take all this PHP code inside of there and delete that out. And then instead, you're going to type in http:// www.twitter.com/ here's where your PHP code comes from. And you'll go echo. Then we're going to say instance. And we're going to pull in whatever they typed in the widget box whenever they drug this guy over there. Okay, so they typed in their Twitter ID, and we're going to put that in there for them. And we'll close that off. Then you have image source, and here all we need to do is come in here and type in Twitter, and everything else is the same. And then here, again, we're going to get rid of this PHP code. And actually, to cheat, I'm going to come in here and copy all this right up to this guy right there where the image source is. And I'm going to paste that in there. And instead, I'm going to type in Facebook. And then I'm going to type in Facebook here. And I'm going to spell it right. There you go. And then Facebook. And everything else is exactly the same there. And I want this RSS feed to actually come up first. So I'm going to paste it in there first. Okay. So there, that'll all show up. So there, that makes the logos pop up. And whenever those logos are clicked, it's going to take you to the defined websites. Then you're going to have to do something again that you always are going to have to do. And that is echo out the variable after widget. And then PHP. And this is going to end this function right here. And if you want to know exactly what after widget does and all these different things, here you go. Right there. That's what they look like. Whenever they're printed out to screen, it's just basic things that WordPress requires to make sure that all the themes are compliant. So that's just so that you know exactly what those different variables contain. And again, link in the underbar, all this code, and a lot more commenting. And then again, this is going to trigger errors if you don't do this. I'm going to come in here in PHP, and I'm going to take out all these spaces here that are in front, just to make sure that doesn't trigger any errors, because it will. And then I'm going to jump into update. And again, what this does is it just saves everything that has been entered. So it's saves the Facebook ID and the Twitter ID and all those different things. That's all this is going to do. And you're going to let it actually do a lot of the work. Hold instance. Again, instance is a reference to this widget object that you created. And what we're doing here is assigning the value that was entered in the widget area, mentioning this guy. This is what I keep talking about over and over again. So we're going to take whatever value was entered in there, and we're going to run it through strip tags just to make sure that nothing dirty gets through. And by dirty, I don't mean smutty, I mean potentially dangerous for your website. Come in here again and type in Facebook, and then type in Facebook, and then type in Twitter, and then type in Twitter, and then say return instance. And just doing that is going to save everything that you had changed previously. So now we get to actually create this guy here that I keep talking about. And it's actually fairly easy to do. So let's scroll this up. We're dangerously close to being done. Here I want to set all my default values. So call default. And these are the default values for the widget. I'm going to set title to follow me. And then I'm going to set Facebook equal to my name or my Facebook thing, whatever. Alright, so there just sets all my defaults for all those variables inside of there. Then I want to grab all these widget values that have been saved and merge them together and save them to the instance. And how you do that is how you merge them all together is you call a function called WP parse args, and you convert all this stuff into an array instance, and you pass along the defaults that you just defined, and you say title, you are now equal to an instance, taking all those values that they set in the thing that I keep opening up over and over again, and set them inside of here. Facebook, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitter. And then we're going to close off our PHP section. And then we have to create the form elements needed to set those values. And again, this is going to be pretty much just doing the same thing, copying and pasting over and over again. And I'm going to surround this with a paragraph tag. I'm going to type in title. That's what shows up, the word title. And then I'm going to type in input. And I'm just going to put class is equal to. And I normally just type in whatever inside of here. Again, this is for styling purposes if you would want to style this stuff. I don't think I ever have found a reason to style, but if you'd like to, there you are. You're able to style this in the widget section. And then you're going to echo out here any title if it has been created. And if not, the default would be used in this situation. So that's just firing that title that was or was not defined into that box ahead of time so that the person knows, hey, it's already in there. I don't need to put it in again. That's all that's doing. Close that off. And this is going to be a text box. And it's going to have a value, echo. And you're going to run this through the escape attribute function. And it's just, again, scrubs for potentially harmful text that could potentially be entered in there. That's all we're doing with that. And we're going to put title inside of here, close that off, and then close off the PHP field, close off the image tag, and close off the paragraph tag. And then guess what? You get to go and copy and paste to your heart's content again. Come in here. This guy can stay the same, obviously. You can type in something different here. Facebook ID. Here, you're going to type in Facebook. Down here, you're going to type in Facebook. Right right like that. And then down here, you're going to type in Twitter ID. Here, you're going to type in Twitter. And then here, you're going to type in Twitter. And there you are. Then what are you going to do? Well, since this closed off the PHP section, you have to reopen the PHP section to be able to close off the rest of this guy. And then this is, again, the closing of the class itself. And remember, no space before these PHP tags. Let me go and make sure that I don't have any other ones that are like that. Looks like I got them all cleared up. And then you're going to want to file save that. And if you go into your plugins section, you're going to see version 2 popped up. It's right inside of there. And then you just want to have to hit activate. And then, like I showed you before, here's the widget area. You type in whatever you want, hit save, jump out to sample website, and there it is. Everything is all set up. So that is how you make a sample widget inside of WordPress. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Again, there's a link to the code in the underbar. Feel free to do whatever you want with it, and there will be a lot more tutorials on plugins and widgets in regards to WordPress coming up. Till next time.